Mr. Aldo. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
I'm so happy to meet you today, especially when we are going to talk about intergenerational actions.
Right.
So, what do you think about this word, intergenerational actions? What comes to your mind?
That first of all, we are connected, the old and the young. That the old people have responsibility for the kind of world we are leaving to the new generation. We are responsible for what we didn't do and what we did. So the concept is very clear to me that we have a problem to solve together. So our generation did the agreements, the laws, the conventions, and so on. Your generation has to apply all those laws and make them operational and make an economy which is different from what we have experienced so far.
Well, you know, I always think of myself as someone in bridge generation because I feel like I have responsibility to learn from my elders, from the older generations, because later on I need to pass it to the younger generations. And I think that's also the reason why we are here. Actually, Connect for Climate asked us to open these books, which contain some stuffs from 1972.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Yes.
So let's open the box.
Together.
Let's open the box. Mr. Rubik.
Each of us will pick one item.
Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe we can share it.
I pick this. This is responsible for a great deal of the problems which we are dealing with today. Everything is taught in terms of money, right? You say, this car costs $10,000. Instead of saying, this car causes 6,000 liters of water polluted, so much tons of CO2 through its own life, the real stuff. Instead, you talk about money.
I'm an indigenous living in Kalimantan Island. So our country, we have these forest fires, and then every time the forest fire happen, there is always a news talking about the loss of the country. How many, like billions, millions, things like that.
In dollars, not in terms of trees.
But interestingly for us, it's not about money, it's about our forest.
When you cut an entire forest, your GDP goes up. And the countries are judged in their progress and development by their GDP. How can you kill a forest or deplete fish species and say that you made a profit?
Our generation have been fed with all this, I will call illusions of living big cities dream, you know, Jakarta's dream or American dreams, things like that.
Dream,
and then they set up, hey, if you have a big cars and then expensive house, and then you have
a sign of success.
That's it.
Because there is no way of measuring happiness.
So I guess we need to reimagine what is the standard, you know, like the successful country and successful life, right? Okay, I will pick mine now.
Now take your. Okay.
I will pick this. I was reminded about the story from one of my elder. Like, she is 113 years old and in good health.
Oh, give me hope.
And I remember her story about the lake in that village where my mother came from. 70 years ago, you know, like 60 years ago, there is a lot of fish still. If we want to get fish, we can just go to the river and then fishing, or maybe you do what we call nikep, it's like scooping fish. And now, she always said, and now I couldn't find it anymore. It's hard to find a fish here. It's hard to get what we want from the forest and the river because of the expansions of the extractive industry like lodging and so on. So when I opened this and saw this, I think this really represents what I need to learn from the past.
50
Right.
years, in 60, 70, 80 years, I have seen this, the world change around me. The Stockholm Declaration did not affect the large number of people immediately. The ministers or whatever, they went home, parliaments had to approve, UNEP had to be created. So it was not an immediate impact, but a change in perception has taken place.
Yeah, perceptions should change first, and then you change your behavior, and then
Yes,
it
yes.
becomes the culture of the society.
This
I
is what
guess.
schools need to be involved in.
Right.
You know, from the small,
totally agree
the
with that.
little child has to be thrown. You don't throw this away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't waste water or resource like this in the home. And then it becomes a habit.
But now the questions and the challenge in the present moment is how we can bring, you know, like this mindset and these new perceptions
Yes.
about environment to more people. I mean, like to people all over the world. And I think nowadays we have this access called like digital communications.
But
I don't know whether you use social media or not.
No, I'm not very familiar. I'm still, learning about the system. But of course, I use the internet and all these things. And that means that people anywhere in the world can learn about what is
Exactly.
happening
Exactly.
everywhere else.
And some people decide to do action, you know, like decide to step becoming a solutions after they learn about it. But there are other sides of this access of information.
When I hear about global warming, for example, and I live in Africa, in Kenya, this is something theoretical. But when I drive out in the country and I see animals dead, you know, that has an immediate impact.
Right.
Then I understand
Right.
what it means,
Right.
because I see people there who are desperate because they lost their animals, they have no food.
Right.
This is the real
Yes.
story
Yes.
of a global
Yes.
environmental change. So perhaps, I don't know, we can't
Well-
have everybody come to Africa see dead animals, but something more than just a picture or a
Yes,
little
yes.
video to teach the problem.
Right. Well, actually, I'm a filmmaker, indigenous filmmaker specifically.
Filmmaker.
Yes.
Good,
So
good.
I made films about biodiversity and environments. You know, like, and of course, it's not just entertaining videos or
No,
films,
no,
but
no.
it's an tool for
Education,
education
of
and for
course.
advocacy. You
Yes,
know, like
yes,
to
yes.
tell people that you need to take action, otherwise this will happen. You know,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I guess it's really big responsibility for my generations whether we want to use this technology as a tool for our advantage to campaign,
Yes.
or we just want to let ourselves being drifted away in modernism and all this technology.
Change happens whether we like it or not. And some change we can pilot in the right direction.
Right.
And some we just have to accept.
It's
No.
really not about rejecting the change, but being adaptable to change and how to make it as our, advantage and for
yes,
better
yes.
future, right?
Yes.
And we are talking about the future. We would like to envision the future. If you and I got the chance to put something into this time capsule, I will put this bracelet. This is the bracelet made from a tree called patake tree.
Oh,
So this is called patake nanyu. This is the seeds
the seed.
of that tree. Yeah, it's just a small trees, but it has many seeds. For me, I want to put it here because I want the next generations see this endemic tree from Kalimantan rainforest, patake tree. And then I want them also to learn and always remember about the culture. This is coming from my
Yeah.
culture, like
Yeah.
our wisdoms.
Yeah.
Everything has a meaning. Nature has a voice.
Yes,
So
right.
I want the next generations to see that a tree is not only a tree. A fruit is not only a fruit.
Yeah.
An animal it's not only an animal. It's more than that. That's life. I'm really scared to imagine if in the next 50 years we lose our nature, or we lose trees, we lose forests,
You destroy this to put that. You kill the forest to put palm oil plant.
True.
This mentality has to change as we go back to
Mr.
the
Aldo, do you think it's possible for us to prevent that happen?
Well, you have to. You have to.
We
You
have
you
We
have
have
no
to.
choice. You have no
Right.
choice. You, your children
Right.
will have to live in that environment. So
Right.
you better keep it for them because you have the idea and you have also the knowledge and the wisdom of your ancestors
Yes.
who were respectful of the environment.
We have to fight for the future. I mean, we have to
Ah.
fight for the forest. We have to protect the remain forest, the remain nature,
Yes.
and we have to restore everything that has been damaged. And I think that's really possible
Yeah.
because even though we are humans, are the cause of the problems, but we also the part of the solution. If we can say something to our audience, I mean, like influencers, policymakers, or anyone that will watch our conversations today, what you want to say to them, what actions that they need to take to solve the problems that we are facing right now.
Every small gesture helps. If we say we are 8 billion people in the world, if everybody brings a small stone, you are building a pyramid. So let everybody make a small gesture in favor of the environment, against pollution, against waste.
Unless you and I change, nothing will change. Like, we need to change. I mean, we change our perceptions, we change our behavior, and then we change our habit and then our culture. We impact our society, our community, and that start from you and from me and you too.
Yeah, right.
And I believe that we have the power. We represent these two different generations, and I'm so happy to learn from Mr. Aldo about all these wisdoms and experience.
And let us not forget which generation you and I belong. So
True.
may I ask you something very rude? What is your age? And then I tell you mine.
Okay, I'm 29.
And I am 89 going for 90. So you see we are about two whole generations
Wow.
separated, and I'm so happy that we can talk and understand each other.
Exactly, and if
Right,
we
right.
can do this, we
Yes,
believe
yes.
also more people outside
Yes.
there, even though they are different generation, they
Yes,
also can do that. We share the same connections. Thank you so much for
Thank-
sharing.
Thank
I'm
you,
so
thank
happy
you.
to talk to you today, and
Such
thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much for
Such a
listening
pleasure
to our
for me.
conversations.
Ciao.